What if Nintendo could reach into your home and hit a kill switch on your new Switch too? Sounds crazy, but the company's facing legal challenges in Brazil over the new policy that allows them to do something very close to that. They're permanently banning Switch 2 consoles from all online services, for reasons that might genuinely surprise you. This isn't just about stopping pirates. This is a policy that could burn you, even if you buy a console secondhand from a major retailer. Brazil's Consumer Protection Agency is calling the move abusive, and things are heating up. So we're going to break down what's happening in Brazil, why Nintendo is doubling down on this aggressive policy, and how you could be at risk of buying a console that's been permanently hobbled without even knowing it. This is the story about a company pushing its power to the absolute limit, and what's happening when consumers finally push back. And hey, if you think companies shouldn't be able to remotely disable products you paid for with your own money, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe, because this story is just getting started. The epicenter of this whole controversy is Brazil, where a consumer watchdog agency has officially picked up a fight with Nintendo. The Brazil Consumer Protection and Defense Program is formally challenging Nintendo over its new end-user license agreement. You know, the giant wall of text you always scroll past? Buried in it is a clause that gives Nintendo the power to render a console permanently unusable from accessing any online services. Brazil argues that the policy is flat out abusive and violates Brazilian consumer rights laws. Their argument is simple: Nintendo's disabling core functions of a product someone bought, often without a clear reason or any way to appeal. Imagine your new console suddenly can't connect to the eShop, download updates, or play online, and all you get is a dreaded error code. That's the reality for a growing number of Switch 2 owners. This isn't an account ban, it's a hardware ban, a permanent black mark on the console itself. The situation is even messier because Nintendo doesn't even have a formal legal office in Brazil, making it incredibly hard for local agencies to enforce their laws. Brazil had to contact Nintendo of America just to get a response. Nintendo has since appointed a local law firm to handle the case and has been given a 20-day deadline to respond to the agency's demands. This isn't some small disagreement. It's a high-stakes showdown that could set global precedent for consumer rights. If you think this aggressive stance came out of nowhere, you haven't been watching Nintendo lately. The policy isn't an isolated incident. It's the latest move in a long pattern of actions that many feel prioritize corporate control over consumer experience. Let's start with the ghost in the machine, the Joy-Con drift. For years, Nintendo sold millions of Switch consoles with controllers that were allegedly known to be defective. The company faced a mountain of class action lawsuits from consumers who felt they were sold a faulty product. While Nintendo's president eventually apologized for the inconvenience, the company fought those lawsuits tooth and nail, often using the EULA to force them into private arbitration and away from public view. They offered free repairs, but for many it felt like a small bandage on a huge self-inflicted wound. Then there's Nintendo's famously aggressive relationship with its own fans. The company is notorious for issuing cease and desist orders against fan-made games, which are often labors of love from its most passionate communities. While they have every legal right to protect their IP, their approach is often seen as unusually hostile. This extends to the competitive scene, where they've shut down major tournaments over the use of mods, and to their long-running war on emulation. And of course, there are the hackers. The case of Gary Bowser, a member of a hacking group Team Executor, is chilling. Bowser was sentenced to 40 months in prison in order to pay Nintendo $10 million in restitution. The civil settlement means that he has to pay 25 to 30% of his gross monthly income to Nintendo, potentially for the rest of his life. Nintendo's lawyers argued that a harsh sentence was needed to send a message. From faulty hardware to life-altering lawsuits, this console banning policy seems like the next logical and scary step. So the billion-dollar question is why? Why risk this much bad press and invite legal challenges from entire countries? For Nintendo, it comes down to one word: piracy. The view, tools like flash carts, not as enthusiast hardware, but as gateways to illegal game downloads. they are willing to take extreme measures to shut them down. The company says these bans are an anti-piracy safeguard that protects game developers. The problem is this approach is like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut, and innocent consumers are getting caught in the crossfire. The policy is so broad that it allows Nintendo's to ban a console for violating its terms of service, while current reports focus on bans related to specific piracy-enabled devices. There's a growing concern about a walled garden approach. For example, Nintendo is already restricting some unlicensed third-party accessories like docks to work with the Switch 2 by using proprietary protocols. This is about control. By banning consoles that step outside their approved lines, Nintendo sends a clear message. You don't truly own your hardware you bought. You're licensing it, and that license can be revoked. Interestingly, there's a key difference between regions. The US EULA explicitly says Nintendo can make a device permanently unusable, while the European version, protected by stronger consumer laws, only says that it can limit access to services, not disable the hardware itself. This isn't just protection, it's a power grab that changes what it means to own a console. And here's where this policy becomes a massive risk for almost everyone. The most devastating side effect of Nintendo's ban on-site policy is its impact on the used game market. Because the ban is tied to console's hardware, not a user account, these partially disabled consoles are already being sold to unsuspecting buyers. There's already reports of people buying what they thought was a perfectly good Switch 2, only to get home and find it's been cut off from all online services. Imagine finding a great deal on an open box console. It turns on, seems fine. When you try to hit the eShop, you get an error code. Suddenly that console is useless for modern gaming, and you had no way of knowing. The retailer might not have known either. This injects a huge amount of risk into buying used consoles from eBay, a friend, or anywhere else. It undermines the value of Nintendo's own products, as a core part of owning something physical is the right to resell it. This has also created a new nightmare scenario for people buying legitimate used game cartridges that were previously owned by someone who cloned the game data. When the new innocent owner puts the cart in their Switch 2, Nintendo's system flags it as a duplicate, and both the pirate and the innocent buyer can get banned. While some users have successfully appealed these bans by proving proof of purchase, it's a terrifying game of Russian roulette for the secondhand market. So what we're seeing is a major battle for consumer rights in gaming. Nintendo, a company loved for its creativity, is pushing a policy that's being legally challenged as abusive and is already harming innocent customers. The lawsuit in Brazil is the first big stand against a corporate policy that redefines what it means to own the hardware you pay for. This isn't just about protecting games anymore. It's about absolute control. And it's coming at an expense of loyal fans. As gamers, we have to ask, are we okay with this? Are we willing to accept the future where a company can remotely cripple a console we spent hundreds of dollars on, with no questions asked? Let me know what you think in the comments. Is Nintendo have the right to do this? Or is this a massive anti-consumer overreach? And if you found this video informative, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the following content on this crucial story. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody. This is Mr. On Demand, and if you really like this type of content, definitely hit that bell icon so you can get notified on all my future content that comes out. I do have another Nintendo video in the works that I'm planning on doing about the Power World lawsuit that's going on with Nintendo right now. And let's just demand better from companies we buy our equipment from, and better customer service from these companies that are producing our entertainment. Whether it's streaming or video gaming, we really need to demand more and demand better. And none of them are going to be perfect, but we just have to try to pick the best of the rotten bunch that's out there. And just know that I'll always try to give you my best view of what's happening and give you the truth as I see it. I'll see you guys in the next video. You guys have a great day. Catch you later.